Well, my wife hasn't killed me yet, so at least that's the good news, right? Guys, I messed up and I sold a stock too early and lost out on $25,926 worth of potential gains. I'm going to tell you the story of exactly how this happened, what stock it was, why I'm not too upset about it actually, and where I was able to move that money to still be able to produce at least a hefty return that's a little bit more guaranteed. So guys, as we jump into this, just remember that I am primarily a real estate investor because there's a lot more certainty in that industry. But I do invest in the stock market. I think it's a great place to get started. It's a great place to put some money and have it grow at a good rate and potentially even get some massive gains along the way before you're able to move that money into real estate, which I believe is a better, safer investment that can produce even bigger returns in the long run. So right now I do have a stock portfolio that sits right around $50,000 that I've been building on for the last couple of years. I've seen some really good gains, but I have lost out on a lot of potential gains just like this stock. So the stock that I sold out on too early and missed out on this massive gain was for a real estate company called EXP. The ticker symbol is EXPI. It's the stock for a real estate brokerage that has absolutely exploded over the last couple of years. You may have heard of this, especially if you're in the real estate space. If you're an agent or maybe even an investor, you might have heard of this company. They've exploded because they were the first mass market company to be able to take the real estate brokerage space and move it entirely online. In real estate, a lot of brokerages have these massive office buildings with very expensive real estate leases. The founder of EXP said, hey, I think we can do this a little bit better. He was a little bit ahead of his time. He saw the transition going online. He looked at his own office and said, there's so many empty office spaces here. Nobody comes into the office. Everybody's out on appointments or they work from home, or even a lot of real estate agents don't really work that hard. So there was a lot of empty space in the building that he was in. He said, I think I can turn this online. What the real estate brokerage is really there for is to give the agents a spot to work and also to provide training and camaraderie. So Glenn, the owner of this company, said, I'm going to turn that online. I'm going to put all the training online and I'm going to create a community around this so that you can still work from home but still have access to the training platforms and also to other people for when you need help. He founded this company roughly 10 years ago and added a very essential component to help the growth. Now, one of the reasons why this company has exploded over the last couple of years is because they made the very smart decision, in my opinion, to add in a multi-level marketing system into the company. So basically, as an agent comes on, if they bring on other agents underneath them, they're going to get a percentage of the revenue share that that agent underneath them pays to the company. So you've got the company up here, you've got agent 1, and then you've got agent 2. When agent 2 closes a deal, they pay a little bit to the company and they pay a little bit to agent number 1. The way that it's structured is actually really smart, especially if you get in early. I know some people who are earning well into the 6 figures, and there's even several people who got in early enough and have recruited heavily that are now earning 7 figures per year. It's pretty insane seeing some of these numbers and how much growth is possible. The system's really set up so that the more people you recruit, the more you have to earn from that revenue share. This is what's allowed the company to explode over the last couple of years. At the time I joined, they were roughly 7,000 members. By the time I left, they were at 16,000 members, and I believe they're well above that number now. So what's my individual story? How did I lose this stock, and how can you make sure to protect yourself so that you don't end up in the same situation? Well, my story is I joined the company. I saw the potential of what this could possibly be. I saw how much money could be made. I saw how they were changing the industry as a whole and how it could be a win-win-win for everybody involved. The company wins because they don't have the office space, they've got less overhead. The agent wins because they're able to pay the same amount, but they have increased earning opportunities through stock options, through the revenue share, and also just closing deals in general. So they had more opportunity for the agent, and I believed that the client actually had a possibility to win because the agent had a little bit more freedom to do business the way that they wanted. So when I joined the company, I was able to secure some stock options for completing different milestones, if you will, within the company. These were things like recruiting your first agent, closing your first deal, closing 10 deals, etc. So I acquired some stock that way, and I also purchased some of my own stock just on the open market. When I first joined, I said, man, this company has a lot of potential. I think there's something here, and I think this could be revolutionary. I held onto the stock, and it built up to over 1,000 total shares. At the time, the stock was hovering right around $10 per share. At one point, it did jump up to $15, $17 per share. And I was thinking, wow, I just made a couple $1,000s on my investment here. This is awesome. And then the stock dropped down to about $7 or $8 per share. It hovered here for a long time and unfortunately wasn't looking like it was gonna go anywhere. At this point, I kind of had personally decided that, this company really wasn't for me. The whole recruiting aspect of the company was pulling me away from being able to do real estate, which is where I was really making the money. So I had made that decision where I looked at the company and basically said, hey, this is a great opportunity for a lot of people, but it's just not the right fit for me. It's not the path that I want to go down. It wasn't making me happy. It wasn't making me more successful, at least that I felt. And so I made the decision to jump ship, go to a different brokerage where I was basically 100% on my own, paying very little to the brokerage each time I closed a deal, and ultimately was the right decision for me because I was able to increase my income 2x after making that move. So it just wasn't a fit for me, so I ended up leaving the company, but I still had over 1,000 shares, and I'm thinking, well, great, what am I supposed to do with these 1,000 shares? I need to do something with them. But I was at a loss at that point. I'd bought a lot of these shares, or at least gained them in that $8 to $10 range, but at the time they were hovering, somewhere between $7 to maybe $8.50 on the price per share. It hovered at that range for so long that I really wasn't sure what to do. So finally I made the decision, I'm not sure what's gonna happen with this company. I'm not sure that they're seeing the growth. They're still having a lot of overhead, a lot of expenses through this, and I'm just not sure where this company is gonna go. So I'm gonna sell out if the price goes up. If it doesn't, I'm just gonna hold on to it and we'll see what happens. So the price started going up, it started creeping up, and I started selling off little portions of my position over the next couple months. I started selling the stock in roughly April timeline and sold a little bit each time it ticked up all the way through about June. I sold off different amounts ranging anywhere from about $8.80 per share all the way up to about $16.94 per share as it was going up over this run. Once it got up a little bit higher, I just said, great, I'm out. I've made a profit on some of these shares. Other shares I just broke even, but at least I'm out of it. At that time, I had such a big part of my portfolio in this particular company that I just didn't feel comfortable with it. At that time, it was over 25% of my total portfolio, and I just didn't want to have that much exposure to one individual stock that was, relatively small compared to a lot of other companies. And what I thought it didn't have a lot of upside on the back end. I just thought there was better opportunity out there, so I wanted to get out of this one and move on to something else. And the reasoning behind selling off at this stage instead of holding on to it a little bit longer was when the stock had previously hit that high of $16, $17, $18, I thought that that's where the stock was gonna stop this time around, and it was gonna kind of hover in that same range for at least the foreseeable future. But unfortunately, that's where things went wrong. The stock continued to skyrocket over the last month, and at the time of this recording is sitting at $36.13 per share. And that's exactly how I lost out on a $25,926 potential gain. If I had held on to those 1,024 shares and sold it at that $36,000 mark, I'd be sitting on over a $25,000 profit. Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and that's kind of just the way that things go. You never know what's gonna happen in the stock market. It can be a little bit crazy, and it's kind of like, professional gambling. Now, I'm not saying that some people don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying that it can't be a good long-term investment, but sometimes you just don't know where the stock's gonna go. It's really hard to read the entire market. And that's one reason why I love real estate so much, is because I know that I can buy a property for this amount. I know that the rents will be this much. I know that I'll have a fixed rate mortgage for the next 30 years, and I can calculate what my return is going to be. And then any appreciation that comes on the back end is just gravy. It's just gravy at that point, and I love to have it. And sometimes those returns can be drastic. The very first property I bought, I've seen over $100,000 in appreciation in just the last 5 years. So to be entirely honest with you guys, of course I'm kicking myself for missing out on this gain. I can't believe the stock has gone up this much in just 1 month. From where I last sold out at roughly $16 per share, it's now at $36 per share. So it's absolutely crazy. I am kicking myself because of that, but like I said, I'm not too mad about it because I didn't know, right? Some of these things you just don't know, you can't predict, and you don't know what's gonna happen. The other reason why I'm not too mad is because I'm glad I'm out of that company. I don't know what the long-term outlook is going to be for that company specifically. Real estate, of course, is a big industry, but investing into just one brokerage is just a little bit uncertain for me. They don't have enough of a market share to really command the market, and I just don't have a ton of confidence in that particularly. So to add at least a little bit of saving grace to the situation, some of that money that I did receive from selling that stock early, I was able to invest into other companies that do have a great long-term outlook. Some of these companies such as Square, Delta Airlines, Illumina, Planet 13, Tesla, NEO, JP Morgan, these are companies that I believe in and I think have a good long-term outlook and will have some solid gains. So far, the money that I moved from the EXPI stock into these other stocks is up $6,150. So I can't be too upset about that because that's a little bit more of a realized gain. Those are gains that I actually have right now. And this is one thing that I always talk about in the stock market. You don't actually get that gain until you sell. So am I planning to sell? No, not really. I'm not going to sell most of those stocks. If I do, it might just be a small position in each one, but most of them I'm going to hold on to. I'm going to hold on to at least 90% of it. So I won't realize that gain. It could go up, it could go down, it could totally disappear. I don't know, but at least I feel good about having a little bit of a wider and more diverse portfolio at this point. So guys, that's the story of how I lost out on $25,000 in potential gains on just one stock. I hope this was beneficial for you. I hope you learned something that you can't always predict the market and you never know what's going to happen. You can see incredible gains or you can also miss out on them. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a thing talking about money and real estate. I love chatting about those things here on the channel and I'd love to see you in the next video. Give me a thumbs up and I'll catch you in the next one.